let's get into the presentation today. I'm happy to be here with you. So let me move my screen so I can see. There we go. So first slide, I'm showing off our beautiful capital city of Salt Lake. You can see its great proximity to the Wasatch Mountains there. And really from this downtown scene you're seeing, it's only 10 minutes to the international airport. So really accessible. And we've talked about it in the last webinar, but in case you haven't heard, Utah has the greatest snow on earth. And specifically, we have 15 ski resorts, and 10 of those are within just 1 hour from the Salt Lake International Airport. So they're just right up above Salt Lake City, some of them in those Wasatch Mountains. But yeah, you can get to 10 of those within just 1 hour, so really accessible to downtown. The 15th newest ski resort that's opened recently, this last season actually, was Woodward Park City. And this is a perfect family-friendly resort. And it's unique because it actually has 6,500 square meters of indoor space where they have athletes actually training either children or adults how to either just basically ride a snowboard or skis, or maybe get better at the terrain park with the indoor jumps and things that they have. And then you can go out and apply those on their slopes in the park. And it also has a tubing hill, so more family fun there. And then it is actually open year-round, so this mountain turns into mountain biking trails in the summer. So for your more advanced skier, we highly recommend the Interconnect Tour. And this is a really epic, unique experience because you can actually ski up to 6 resorts in one day. So you can kind of see maybe this little map, but it just kind of shows you hopping across from the 2 Salt Lake Canyons that have 4 resorts. And then you even go across one more mountain pass and you get into the Park City area resorts. So overall, you could ski some backcountry and the slopes of 6 resorts in one day, and that's through Ski Utah. So I wanted to also highlight another ski town in northern Utah. So if you just drive an hour north of Salt Lake, you find Ogden City. This is the beautiful, vibrant downtown scene. It's historic, remodeled though, and they've got wonderful restaurants, breweries, shopping all along the street. And then if you just drive a couple minutes up into the mountains there, you can find 3 different ski resorts. So this is a great base camp. If you're doing a multi-day trip, trying to hit multiple resorts, you can have your base camp be Salt Lake, maybe Park City one day, and maybe Ogden City one day. And then really unique to Utah again is that you can actually ski and go to national parks and see Red Rock in one trip. I talked about this last time if you're on the first webinar, but just to give you more specifics, we do recommend that you spend a minimum of 14 days on this kind of a trip so that you can get your northern Utah ski resorts, maybe visit Bryan Head, which is in southern Utah, and you can see the Red Rocks from the slopes, and also be able to fit in and visit multiple national parks on your trip. So you could visit up to 5 of our national parks. I don't know if you want to hit all, but we have the 15 ski resorts you could choose from. So we had a really successful campaign called the Mighty 5, and we followed that up with a campaign called the Road to Mighty. Mighty 5 representing the 5 national parks, and Road to Mighty really trying to get you to experience everything in between and take you off the beaten path. So we're going to show you that video now.
You know this road. You've traveled it in your dreams. Artists and adventurers have always traveled here, found their muse in these red canyons. You were made to travel this road. It belongs to you. This is your birthright. For this is the road to Mighty. The road begins at visitutah.com.
So as that video featured, most of those actually in the video were not at our national parks. It's all of the great in-between state parks or national monuments that we have to offer in the state. And one of those stops in between on your way maybe to a national park or to southern Utah, kind of in central, is this Helper City. So it used to be a like mining and railroad town, and that's really where it thrived. But they obviously had to reinvent themselves, and so they really focus on arts and outdoor recreation now. So it's a great stop for coffee or just to stroll the galleries, get lunch, and maybe you want to float the river there. They've got a new river access entry point. Also in that area is the San Rafael Swell, or the greater area that they call the Swell. This is a really wide open area. It's got public lands that have all kinds of different views. Corey mentioned the Little Grand Canyon is in this area. Obviously, with its name, the Little Grand Canyon, it's like a mini version, but it's also very astounding. And then you've got amazing experiences like canyoneering here. And it is a pretty wild and open area, so we definitely recommend that people book a guide in this area so they can have the safest and best kind of experience. So as we continue south in Utah, you'll find our first gateway community to national parks is Moab. And in Moab, you can access Arches National Park. There are multiple activities that I would consider off the beaten path in Arches. So one of those being, you can see it's beautiful in the winter, as we've mentioned, and it's got the least amount of visitors during that time. So you can definitely find the most solitude, see the least amount of people, and really it's just stunning to see that snow on Red Rock. This far left picture is a picture from the Devil's, well, now I'm forgetting the name of it. But this is a part of the park that is actually required to get a permit. It's called the Fiery Furnace. Sorry, I had it confused with another area. So it's a fiery furnace. It's protected from getting congested. So you get a permit and then you can either hike it, but we really do recommend actually getting the guided ranger hike because it's been called the Labyrinth. It's got some windy, deep canyons that have these beautiful views, and it's really secluded. So it's best to definitely have a guide there, and that's a way that you can see a remote part of Arches. And then the top picture there shows what it looks like with a beautiful dark sky. So they're certified in International Dark Sky Park. That means you can see the Milky Way really easily with a naked eye if you're near a noon moon. And it's obviously clear skies. So I've done this and it really is mind-blowing, and I highly suggest that at Arches. So Dead Horse Point State Park is just 20 to 30 minutes from Arches, so really accessible from Moab as well. And a popular activity would be mountain biking trails or even just hiking around that beautiful park. And they also have remote yurts, so you could stay on site. And again, they are also a Dark Sky International Park. So they have great star parties there where they have astrologists and astronomy professionals basically leading you in seeing the night sky. So I wanted to talk about lodging throughout Utah. In this one, we didn't really touch on it on our intro to Utah. So I'm trying to highlight a place each area. So in the Moab area, my best recommendation would be to get off the beaten path. Instead of staying downtown Moab, you can go on this scenic byway down the river, and you'll find a couple different lodging properties. One would be Sorrel River Ranch or Red Cliffs Lodge. They're on this riverside. They get beautiful views like you see there. And they actually have a lot of activities you can book with the actual ranch or lodging property to do horseback riding. There's a winery at Red Cliffs. Or you can also go down other like not as visited hikes in that area down that road, which would include Fisher Towers, for example. So as you continue south on the southeast side, you'll find San Juan County, which has these different monuments as well as Monument Valley. And it also has Canyonlands National Park. If you were in the first webinar, we mentioned it's accessible through Moab, which is true. You can see the island in the sky from Moab area, but less visited, more like a different viewpoint too, is in this area of the state called the Needles District. So this is just one kind of view that you can see incredible different views. If you go from the Moab area, you get to see from the canyon down. So you get to see those deep canyon views. This is just a different way to experience it, and with the least amount of visitors, definitely. And then Monument Valley we mentioned. So in this area, the Navajo tribe actually resides, and they really embrace tourism. So they offer activities that you can book through a couple different operators like Simpson's Trail Handlers Tours. They offer this experience where you can have dinner cooked fireside for you, and then they will put on a Navajo performance, tribal dance for you. And one of the newest properties in their area is called Bluff Dwellings. And I have to set the scene for coming up to this property because it really did blow me away. You come down, driving through San Juan County, it's really large, really wide open. You don't see very much before you get to this property for a while. And so you come down a canyon through a bend and it opens up, and this is what you see, this beautiful Pueblo-style lodging that sits perfectly and matches with the rock surrounding it. And then the really nice thing about this property is that they also run a tour company called Wild Expeditions, and they actually offer river tours or guided hikes. And so you can actually book your property and your activities all in one place. Really convenient. So another area that has a national park and more beautiful red rock is Torrey, or Capitol Reef National Park. And this is a view from what's called the Cathedral Valley. So this is a really wide open space that, again, you're not going to see probably anybody, if anybody, out there with you when you view these huge monumental cathedrals. It's a really wide open park. And Fruta is actually inside the park. So it's kind of surprising because it looks totally different, right? You've got the red rock from one area, and then you've got Fruta, which has these beautiful green orchards because it used to be a Mormon pioneer settlement. So they still have the operational orchards. You can go pick fruit, you can get fresh fruit pies, ice cream, all of those kinds of things. And then in this area, somewhere unique to stay would be at Capitol Reef Resort. They've got these glamping pioneer wagons that they have beautifully set up against the backdrop of the red rock. They also have teepees here, and they have private cabins that you can stay at. So all is in a really beautiful setting. And I did forget to mention one thing that I did want to say earlier, so sorry. Going back, Canyonlands National Park. I mentioned you can get to it from both of those areas, either in southern San Juan County or from Moab, and that's because it is our largest national park in the state. It actually has over 850 kilometers, and it's actually top 25 largest in the US. So it's got really wide open spaces and can really definitely find some solitude there. So moving back to where I was, if you continue south from Capitol Reef, you can take a beautiful scenic byway to Bryce. And again, just wanted to suggest that you experience Bryce from winter viewpoint. You can see it's also a beautiful park to see in the winter, and they've got snowshoeing, they offer horseback riding, they have cross-country skiing, they even have an ice skating rink in town, so a lot of different winter activities, and it is also another dark sky certified park, so great stargazing. And outside of the national park, you can experience all kinds of beauty, like here at Calf Creek Falls. This is a beautiful hike that is 9.5 kilometers round trip. It's a great stop on the scenic byway, and it's actually within the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. And one of the unique lodging properties in this area of Bryce is an Escalante yurt. So you can see here that it is definitely a glamping situation. You're not just putting a sleeping bag in a yurt. You've got electricity, heat, AC. It doesn't show here, but it does have a full kitchen. And the surprising thing is it's in a pretty wide open area where you don't have other lodging properties nearby. You just drive down to this place. You're the only kind of place there. And then you can drive about 10 minutes though and get into Escalante City, where they have some great dining and they offer guided tours or guided experiences in Escalante National Monument from there. So going further south to the edge of Arizona, you'll find Kanab. And this is a beautiful access point from the Grand Canyon. So a lot of people will visit the Grand Canyon and stay in Kanab, or they will go, have that as a stop on the way. So something to consider. They have a lot of different sights to see in Kanab, though. You can see all different formations here, like this toadstool hoodoos. This is a great place to hike around and see these wonderful formations. They've also got a bunch of slot canyons. So this picture here shows the longest slot canyon in Utah, actually. You can do a backpacking trip down it, or you can just go hike part of it for a day. And then Coral Pink Sand Dune State Park is in the area. You can ride around in one of these UTVs. They have a rental company on site there, so you can do UTVs or ATVs or dirt bikes or hike around and just take photos. It's really a photographer's dream with the beautiful sandy dunes there. And in the heart of Kanab, it's really kind of surprising because it is a small town, but they have fine dining like Seagull Restaurant. And they also have that inside of Canyon's Boutique Hotel. So they have this beautiful boutique hotel that has this fine dining restaurant. So after your day of adventuring outdoors, you can have this beautiful experience of dinner and place to stay. On your way from Kanab to Zion National Park, you can find Zion Mountain Ranch. So this property, you can stay in these cute cabins here on this ranch property as the same place as these bison are. It's a beautiful view. If you're lucky enough, they might have a baby bison that they have near the lobby. Like when I went and I actually got to feed a baby bison, it was a really cool experience. So definitely recommend this, and you will see it on your way from Kanab to Zion National Park. So then you come to Zion National Park, and if you keep going west, you'll find St. George, which is our gateway community to Vegas. So only 2-hour drive from Vegas and you get to St. George, Utah. In Zion, some great activities, like you can ride the shuttle, first of all, and make it really easy to get from the visitor center right to any of the stops of any of the trailheads. But you could also put your bike on front of it or rent a bike from downtown Springdale, just outside of Zion. And then you can do a scenic bike ride from the top of the trail all the way down the paved road. And there's space for bikes, and there's a paved trail in the middle of the park where you can ride with a riverside view. It's a really, really unique way to see the park. Now, something a little bit more extreme to see the park. This is actually just barely outside of Zion. Is called the Eye of the Needle. Corey mentioned that he's done this, so really, really exhilarating. They built when I say they, I mean Zion Adventure Company owns this private land, actually, and they built this incredible canyoneering experience. So they put these bars in there so that you can canyoneer, and then you can even go down waterfalls, and you just get to see incredible views that are like nothing else there. So just outside of Zion, you can stay in somewhere like Zion under Canvas. They also have your normal lodging properties that are gorgeous, and but if you are looking more for a glamping option for your client or yourself, Zion under Canvas, you can see the starry skies there, and it's just a really nice property. So, in summary, we have a lot to offer here. We've got our 5 national parks, our 7 national monuments, 6 national forests, 44 state parks, 15 ski resorts, and 15 dark sky parks. So, we welcome you to Utah and your clients. And as Corey mentioned, we're happy to answer follow up questions. And yeah, I'll turn it over to Corey.
Well, thanks, Haley,
Yeah.
and thanks everyone. That concludes the official part of our